Good evening, you're watching RTD's 9 p.m. English News Edition, the top stories. In Djibouti, Medal of Awarding, the Minister of Interior has been decorated this morning by the Prime Minister and elevated to the rank of Commander of the Great Star. In all international news, former Brazilian president was found guilty of corruption and money laundering, where he has been sentenced to 10 years. Welcome to our newsroom. Into the details of this 9 p.m. edition. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Mergele, has sent yesterday a message of congratulations to his French counterpart, Mr. Emmanuel Macron, whose country is celebrating the anniversary of its National Day. On the occasion of the National Day of the French Republic, I have the honor to address to you and through you to the people of France on my personal behalf and on behalf of the people of Djibouti my warmest congratulations, wishing in its renewal period much success and prosperity in your new functions, wrote the President of the Republic. I would like to especially renew the commitment of the government of Djibouti to continue its action for the deepening of our bilateral relations and cooperation, particularly in the trade and economic sphere, in order to consolidate our strategic partnership, has continued President Gele. The head of state of Djibouti has then mentioned in this message the interests of its new French counterpart for the preservation of peace and stability in Africa. Mr. President, I would like to congratulate you for your commitments announced in the service of peace. It has in this sense noted the President Ismail Mergele before wishing success to the new President of France. It was in our major stories. The Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed has elevated to the rank of Commander of Djibouti's Great Star the Minister of the Interior Hassan Omar Mohammed this Thursday at the launch of honor of the Prime Minister's office. This Miller Award ceremony has seen the participation of the Minister of Muslims Affairs Mumin Hassan Barre. The happy recipient figure among the few personalities who are wearing the medal of a Commander of the Great Star of Djibouti, highest distinction of the country. This distinction comes to realize a career-rich and journey, exceptional staff of a man of state who has not ceased to work throughout his career for the service of the nation, straightness and loyalty. In fact, Mr. Hassan Omar Mohammed has climbed several levels within the state by occupying including important ministerial posts. As well, he was distinguished for his dedication and personal commitment to the service of the country throughout his career. The Prime Minister has paid a tribute to the recipient in stressing his dedication and sense of loyalty. He congratulated him and welcomed his remarkable work, thus encouraging him to preserve in this way to serve the nation as well. With this instruction, Mr. Hassan Omar joined the circle of men of state of this country, an example to follow. And as well, this Thursday, 13 July, the Cabinet of the Ministry of the Economy and Finance in charge of the industry has hosted a signing ceremony of a loan agreement of $27 million between the government of the Republic of Djibouti, represented by the Minister Yes Moussedouali, and the Kuwaiti Fund, represented by the financial advisor Mr. Fawaz Manwar. In addition, the top responsible for the Kuwaiti Fund has also initiated, on the other hand, this loan agreement with the Director General of the Office of Djibouti for the Development of the Geothermal Energy ODEC, Dr. Kayat Moussa Ahmed. In fact, this signing ceremony is the result of 2 weeks of intensive work between the officials of the Kuwaiti Fund and the ODEC, who have focused primarily on the financial and technical evaluation of the geothermal project of Galaloma. Like the provision of this fund will allow the achievement of 10 drilling as well as geothermal plant with a capacity of 15 megawatts on the horizon 2021. It should be recalled that this project is followed by the head of state, His Excellency Ismail Mergele, who has spared no effort in the direction of development of clean renewable energies of the country, and including geothermal energy occupies a central place. The Minister of Finance, Yes Moussedouali, thanked on behalf of the President of the government and the people of Djibouti the Kuwaiti Fund for the signing of this agreement, which will accelerate the transition of Djibouti to renewable energy. After the site at Fial Lake Assal, this agreement will enable the launch of the implementation of the geothermal energy, said on the side of Galaloma, always at Lake Assal, has insisted the Minister. The Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, Mustafa Mohammed Mahmoud, has launched today during a workshop the Plan of Action for Education for the period 2017-2019. Several ministers have taken part in this meeting, starting with Dr. Nabil Mohammed Ahmed, in charge of higher education and research, but also his colleague in charge of the budget, of the economy, and finally the Secretary of State for Social Affairs, respectively Mr. Bod Ahmed Roble, Ilyas Musadwali, as well as Ms. Muna Osman Aden. Representative of UN agencies including Mrs. Jenabu Mahond, representative of UNICEF, but also representative of UNHCR, USAID and UNESCO have also participated in this meeting to the sides of the executives and officials of the MENFOB. This brilliant presentation generated exchanges and reflections that have opened the way to the interventions of the official. And at the end of the official intervention, the members of the government and the representative of the United Nations have initiated the letter of endorsement of the plan of action of the education. The representative of UNICEF and the World Bank have reaffirmed the engagement of their respective institutions to support the MENFOB. On their side, the members of the government have expressed their support in full adherence to this plan of action for the education 2017 and 2019. The Secretary of State for Social Affairs has stated that the education remains an instrument which must contribute to the strengthening of human capital and to reduce the socio-economic difficulties. To this fact, she stressed the social protection system using education after the health as one of the essential vectors in the accompaniment of the population. And on its side, the Minister of Higher Education and Research has stated in this regard that the plan of action for education responds to emerging issues of education and training. It is clear-sighted, realistic, achievable, and we can only accompany, applaud, and congratulate this project. And finally, the Minister of the Budget has indicated that the 3/4 of the expenditures of this plan of action are supported by the government. He paid tribute to the technical and financial partners for the support and availability that they manifest for the development of the human capital. And as for the Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, Mr. Mustafa Mohammed Mahmoud has made a broad overview of the priorities and expected results of this plan action, which closes the one in 2010-2019 and prepares a new plan for 2020 and 2035. He has insisted on its full support to accompany the MENFOB in its intentions for the education and youth. Still in the national news, the National Commission for the Fight Against Corruption has organized this morning a presentation workshop on the declaration of assets for the benefit of the different executives of the Ministry of Communication. This workshop was held in the presence of the Minister of Communication, Abdi Yusuf Sugi. The President of the Commission, who hosted the workshop, has exposed the legal executives at national, international and regional levels, and then addressed the question of persons subject to the declaration heritage, as well as the level of departments, the Secretaries General, Directors and Heads of Cabinets. In other words, any agent occupying a higher function for the state, including computer subjects to this statement, the persons are required to fill in a form of declaration a month after the decision of function. The fault of declaration of heritage is an offense for any person or fraud over 500,000 francs to 3 million in criminal prosecution, according to the responsible of the Commission. The Court of Auditors, under the leadership of the fourth chairperson, Ms. Ismahan Mahmoud Ibrahim, has organized a session of sharing and restitution of its Code of Ethics. Have taken part in this session the President of the National Commission for the Fight Against Corruption, Osman Idris, Mohammed Idris Zabar, representing the General Inspection of State, Mahmoud Abdul Qadir Waberi, representing the Inspectorate General of Finance. The participation of the latter marks a shared commitment of the administration personnel, the Commission for the Fight Against Corruption, and the Court of Auditors to put in common the respective efforts to work in synergy in favor of the transparency and accountability in the management of public finances in Djibouti. The Court of Auditors intends to be a superior institution of control of public finance, whether it is independent, efficient, credible, having irreproachable conduct, and persuasive as such. This is the responsibility of the institution of an organization, but also to each member associated with its work. In the framework of dental care and prevention, a team of the National Television and Radio went to the service of stomology of the General Hospital Peltier to inform the population on the importance of dental hygiene. The Service of Stomology has a medical team and materials for dental specialty with adequate performance to provide benefits of quality to needy patients. And furthermore, during his intervention, the doctor-dentist of the service recalled the importance of conducting a consultation of dental care at least in 6 months or a year in order to reduce the risk of infection. And finally, this activity is part of the preventive measures and awareness put in place by the Department of Health in order to ensure a good health to the population of Djibouti. Other news of this edition: the Ministry of Agriculture with COMESA has organized yesterday, Wednesday 12 July 2017, at the Palace of the People a workshop on the harmonization of the legislation and seats of COMESA. At the level of the countries member of the COMESA in the framework of the program of seat of COMESA called the SEMCOM, which has already been implemented in 9 member states and must be put in place in the other countries of COMESA in which Djibouti is part of. This workshop brought together the representative of the national institutions concerned by the question, as well as the representative of the farmers and cooperatives, and also the representative of development partners such as FAO.
Guide how the CDB implementation here in Seychelles, in Djibouti, will be. And then also we want all the stakeholders, even the bilateral partners like FAO and the EU that are here, to partner with government in implementing the COMSHIP.
In the close of this edition with on the international news, former Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva was found guilty of corruption and money laundering Wednesday in $1 billion home improvement quid pro quo scheme and was sentenced to nearly 10 years in prison. During Lula's presidency, a construction company gave the leader $1.1 million in home improvement on a beachfront apartment in the exchanges of lucrative contracts with Petrobras, the country's state-controlled oil company. The 71-year-old has dismissed the charges against him as farce, and his allies have declared the verdict as political motivated witch hunt. The conviction comes as part of an expensive investigation in the country into billions of dollars in kickbacks allegedly run through Petrobras. Lula served as president of Brazil from 2003 to 2010, period where two countries' economy exploded and its global profile soared. The verdict has divided opinion in Brazil, and Lula, who is expected to remain free until the legal process fully resolves itself, also happens to lead in early polls for the 2018 election in Brazil. It is with these images came to an end this edition. Thank you and have a wonderful evening.